Hello, friends. This is Arvind Pal Singh here. We are back with the weekly training sessions. Our trainer, ma'am, CMA Jyotsna Rajpal, she has been kind enough to deliver these sessions on a weekly basis, share her knowledge with all of you. So utilize your time because these sessions are for you guys. And we wish you the best to become the best professionals in this profession. Today, ma'am is going to talk about overheads, its practical applications. So without much delay, all over to you, ma'am, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Arvind.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so friends, today we will be talking about overheads, practical aspects of overhead expenditures. That is its classification, then allocation, apportionment, and absorption. So in last meeting, in last session, we had seen that how the entire working about overheads goes in cost accounting. And today, before going ahead with the overheads part, I would like to have to share some important points because I found that a lot of people are having concerns about the studies, that how to go ahead with the studies, how to pass into one attempt, two groups. So I have just prepared a small slide, which maybe Arvind may be able to share after some time. So there are 8 basic points which we need to consider when we are studying. First is that we need to have a balanced diet. First of all, our diet should be good so that we remain healthy and our downtime is zero and we can focus on our studies. Second is, along with the balanced diet, we need to, because if we have balanced diet and we don't do physical activities, we will start gaining the weight. So that will again hamper our studies. So do some physical exercises, take up some physical activities. You can do some household chores, you can do some physical exercises, some cycling, something like that you can continue. No need to go to gym or something, but your calories burning should be there. Then you must restrain yourself from the digital world as much as possible. So if it is important, if it is necessary to support your studies, then it's fine. Otherwise, you should restrain yourself from that. And then finally, you must do meditation. These are 4 important points. I don't say which meditation, what meditation, but some kind of meditation is required to continue your to maintain peace of mind and continue the absorption capacity of your mind. Because after a certain time, every time, like we have too much of the things in our mind when we are studying. So it should, with the help of meditation, it will provide you a calm, and with that calm you can absorb more and more studies, and you can absorb more and more topics in your mind. And at the time of exam also, if you are having meditation properly, then it will help you to write at the examination hall with the peace of mind. So these are the four things we should maintain. And there are 4 supporting things. First of all is short breaks. You should not continuously study for 8 hours, 6 hours. That is wrong, because if you are sitting for 8 hours continuously, it means you are not at all studying. You are simply killing your time. So you should maximum study at a stretch 1.5 to 2 hours. And after 1.5 to 2 hours, take a short break. Change your subject. Suppose you have been studying accounts, then you can start studying the law. If you are studying law, after that 1.5 hours or 2 hours, you can start studying the cost accounting. So whatever you are studying, you must change the topic for, say, next slot of 2 hours, so that it keeps on like rotating in your mind, and like you won't have too much of one subject in your mind. So it will give you a better understanding of the subjects. Then it should be single tasking. If you are studying, means you should be only studying. At that time, switch off your mobile, switch off all your TV, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And no connect with anything, just study for 2 hours. After 2 hours, you can come back, you can check your mails or messages or whatever is there. But during 2 hours, no disturbance. You should always avoid multitasking. And so I have seen students, even when they are having their food, they study at that time also. Friends, you cannot do like this. So when you are eating, eat completely with a peace of mind. Then come back to the study table, and then you study. Then you can, if possible, you go for the group study. Maybe even one person is there. So what you can do is you can interchangeably, like one chapter your friend has studied, one chapter you have studied, you teach each other. So it will give you a better clarity of the subject and better understanding of the subjects. This will help you. Suppose you are good in accounts, he is good in law. So both of you should exchange your studies and notes and whatever. So you can help each other in understanding the subject better. And then you should always try to maintain a peaceful environment so that your mind remains at peace and your productivity is more. So we can go ahead.
Yeah, this is 40.
Yeah. Okay. So friends, last time we have discussed what is collection and classification of overheads, what is allocation and apportionment. I will just take 1 minute to explain these three terms once again. These are of vital importance when we are practically absorbing the overheads, or when we are practically allocating our expenditures to our particular cost centers, cost units, or products. So collection and classification. Collection is basically the job of accounts department. They are already collecting the expenses. They are already booking the expenses. Then we have understood in 2 sessions classification of accounts. So I think I need not to go here once again. So classification is very important. Then third is allocation. What is allocation? Allocation is nothing but distribution of overheads directly to a particular cost unit or to a product or to a department. How do we do that? Like you have electricity bill. You have a separate meter for every department. So you can directly allocate that electricity meter reading and bill according to that reading. You can directly allocate that expenditure to a particular department. Similarly, suppose you have phone connections for every department, so you can allocate. But if you are a continuous, like you have a one unit is having only one electricity meter, then we have to apportion that electricity, our value of that electricity expenditure to the various cost units based on certain basic logical and equitable principles. So this is the allocation. When we are directly allocating, like I will give you a very small household example. Suppose we all are having our own phones. So whatever is the phone bill of my phone, that is direct allocation to me. That is a direct expenditure which can be directly allocated to my expenditure part. But electricity bill for the whole household is common. So we cannot direct allocate to the one person. You can say it will go to the head of the family. No. But if we are like the 4 people are consuming electricity, so it should be allocated. It should be apportioned in a particular manner, in an equitable manner, in a proper logical way to all the departments or all the places where it is being consumed. Then comes absorption in production units. Means absorption is nothing but suppose I have department-wise, I have departmentalized all the expenditures. Now we have to allocate those expenses on a particular product. So ultimately, our objective is to work out the cost of a particular product. So when we are allocating that overhead expenditure to a particular cost unit or to a particular product, that is known as the absorption. So these are clear. We will just have a look at a example, illustration. Here we will not discuss much of the theory part. We will just have a look at the illustration. Or should I read?
New Enterprises Ltd has 3 producing departments, A, B, and C. 2 service departments, D and E. The following figures are extracted from the records of the co. The rent and rates ₹5,000, general lighting ₹600, indirect wages ₹1,500, and sundries ₹10,000.
Okay. What here they have given is, they have given us all these overhead expenses which are not directly allocable to a department or to a particular unit. Next slide, please. Now they have given, in the next slide, you will see that now they have given the basis. They have provided us some more data on the basis of which we can allocate these expenses, or we can apportion these expenses to our departments. So what they have given floor space, they have given light points, they have given direct wages, they have given horsepower of the machines, working hours, they have given value of materials, they have given value of assets, they have given allocation of expenses of department D. Because what they have said that there are 3 production departments and there are 2 service departments. So as a general rule, the expenditure incurred for service departments has to be apportioned on the production departments. So what we have to do here, each and every overhead we will consider, we will see its basis, on what basis we can allocate, on what basis we can apportion those expenses, and how we can arrive at the total overheads incurred for a particular department. And our basic idea is to eliminate these cost of service departments and apportion these service department costs to the production department cost. Okay, so these are the basic data. And then lastly, they have given the raw material cost of product ₹50 and labor cost ₹30. And they have asked us to prepare a factory cost of the article. So we will just have a look. Next slide, please. Now the solution part starts. Just see how we have to present ourselves. First of all, we have to prepare a statement showing apportionment of the overheads to various departments. Here we will calculate how the overheads which were given in the first basic data of the question, how those total expenses have been apportioned or divided or distributed amongst various departments. So we have 5 departments and we have rent and taxes. So how rent and taxes is like relevant? What is the relevant point to distribute rent and taxes? That is the space. They have given that information in the question itself. So we will divide in the ratio of the space each and every department is occupying. If this information would not have given, then we would have taken some assumption to allocate or apportion rent and taxes. So in examination, it is not always necessary that you will be given entire data. Sometimes you may be given it extra data also. So you have to be very conscious and very attentive. This is the first requirement I told you in the last session, that attentiveness is very important when we are solving a particular problem. And first of all, we have to read the question very carefully. And then we need to take down the points that what all are the informations given. Like we have to keep it. We need not to note that, but we need to keep in our mind that what all is given there and what all has been asked. So we have to arrive at an equitable basis to distribute those expenses. So rent and taxes, space, lighting, they have already given light point numbers. So that is the easiest logical way to distribute or proportion to distribute. Then comes indirect wages. So we don't have any way. Had it been any other like machine hours or something would have given, so we would have like distributed on the basis of that also. But here they have not given any such detail related to machine hours. So we have to allocate that on the basis of direct wages. They have given direct wages. We simply presume that if on one machine we are having say 10 workers, so as against 10 workers, one indirect person or one supervisor or 2 supervisors will be required. So we have just taken an assumption that whatever indirect people are working in our various departments, so they are in proportion to the direct wages. So here we have considered an equitable basis to distribute our indirect wages cost. Then comes power. We have been given with the horsepower of the machines. So here, because power consumption is directly dependent on the HP of the machines we are using. So assuming that all the machines are being run for a continuous time or for an equal time, we have simply taken the horsepower of the machines. So we have allocated that expenditure based on the HP of the machines given. Then comes depreciation. Depreciation is directly related to the value of the machinery. We have been given with that figure, so we will like apportion it on the basis of value of the assets. Then comes sundries. Sundries is what? Sundries is like all miscellaneous expenses. It's not a like one expense or two expenses. It may be printing and stationery. It may be security charges. It may be any other thing. Telephone expenses or conveyance or say staff welfare or snacks, canteen charges. It can be anything. So we don't have any equitable basis. So here once again we have considered direct wages as our equitable basis, because if we have only the number of people deployed on a particular machine or department will govern those miscellaneous expenses, because staff welfare will be dependent on the number of people. Then our conveyance will be again dependent on the number of people. So here broadly we have taken direct wages. Then wages, we have been given with the actual wages figure also. But for the department A, B and C, because those are direct production departments, so we have not to allocate them here because they have already been allocated directly. Like Department A, Department B and Department C is directly allocated. That is not a overhead, that is a direct wages. That is direct labor. So that is part of prime cost, that is not part of the overhead. So we have simply ignored those three figures and we have considered the direct wages working in the service departments, because ultimately service departments expenditure we have to allocate a portion on the production department. So we have not taken the actual wages for department A, B and C, but we have considered the direct wages for department B and E. So now we have arrived at the total. So based on this total expenditure, now these are the expenditures for department A, B and C we have already divided, and for department D and E, now we have to apportion those departments, those expenses for those two departments on the production departments, because ultimately production department is one from where the final product is coming out. So we have to allocate, always you must keep this in mind, that all service department expenses have to be okay. All service department expenses have to be apportioned to the production department. Okay, so we can move on to the next slide. Here we have, there are various methods to apportion the overheads, but here we have used repetitive distribution method. In this repetitive distribution method, one basic fundamental you have to consider, keep in your mind, that service department overheads we have to distribute till we reach at 0. So here what we have done, here in the question itself, Arvind, if you can go to the slide number. So there we have been given allocation of expenses of department D and allocation of department E. So we have been given a proportion there. We have given a percentage there. So we please come back to this thing. Sorry, I'm bothering you. So here what we have to do, like we have taken total expenditure as per the allocation table or apportionment table, you can say. Then here we have to apportion the service department cost to the production department cost. So what they have given, cost of D will be apportioned to A, B, C and E in the ratio of 2:3:4:1. So whatever is the department D cost, we will allocate in that ratio to these 4 departments. Then comes cost of E, that is ratio is given 4:2:3:1. So department E will also be distributed. Here you see that once we have distributed the department D expenses to all other departments, our cost here became 0. But once E has again been distributed, E expenditure has again distributed on other this thing. So again they have got left expenditure of 204 rupees. So we have to continue to apportion these expenses till we arrive at the 00 figure of service department costs. So you just come to the third last row, that there we have got a subtotal, that is 9339 for department A, 9061 for department B, and 12200 for department C. So, and department D and department E, the entire cost of these service departments has been allocated to the, apportioned to the department A, B, and C. So here what we are doing is we are repetitively sharing the cost of service department. So that's why this method is known as repetitive distribution method. This is the simplest method and most logical. So if nothing is given in the your question, you can simply use this method because this is the most convenient to use. Then comes now we have arrived at the total cost of production departments. We have been given working hours. So based on that working hours, we can calculate the department overhead rates for department A, B, and C. By simply dividing that, we have arrived at that figure. That is 1 rupee 50 paisa for department A, 2 rupees 25 paisa for department B, and 3 rupees for department C. Now what we have to do, please go to the next slide. We have to calculate the factory cost of the article. What is factory cost now? That is sum of material cost, labor cost, and overheads of all the production departments, of all the production expenses. We have to add to that labor and material. So material cost is already given in the question, 50 rupees. Labor is already given 30 rupees, and overheads are given at the rate 4 hours in department A. That particular product passes through department A for a period of 4 hours. So 4 hours and 1 rupee 50 paisa is the computed rate for that particular department. So 4 into 1.5, 6 rupees is the overhead allocated, absorbed in this particular product. Then comes overheads of department D. So they have given the data that 5 hours that product passes through department B, and 2 rupees 25 paisa is the per hour cost for department B. So 5 into 2.25 is 11.25 is the absorption of overhead for this particular product. Then comes department C. So here 3 rupees is the cost, and for 3 hours that product is being processed in department C. So 9 rupees is absorbed from department C towards this particular product. So our total cost is the addition, total factory cost is the addition of these 5 components that arrives at 106 rupees 25 paisa. So this is all about this particular problem. And you can this illustration I have taken directly from the institute's study material. And I tell you one thing, that institute study material is the best way to carry your studies, at least in the beginning, to make your concepts very clear. Because in examination, you know that none of the questions are being repeated, and none of the questions are even being taken from any of the book. So if you have conceptual clarity about the subject, then you can sort out any kind of practical problem. So, and you must, once you are conceptually clear, once you are done with the entire study material exercises, then you can look for some other books that I will suggest you in due course of time. And then we can we can work. I will also provide you some more exercises and some more questions and some more things. But initially, to start with, you must go through the study material of the institute. That is more than enough. And whatever problems you are finding in that, you please practice. And wherever conceptually you get stuck in the studies or some point is not clear to you, please ask in the group itself. because we should not hesitate in asking, because unless we ask, we are here all for the sharing and all for the studies. If we hesitate, if you hesitate from me, if you hesitate from the other group members, then you will not be able to learn anything. So if you really want to learn and you want to take the ultimate benefit of this group, then better you be open with your questions, with your queries. So I am always there to help you out. This is all from my side. And I think we have some questions. Let's see. Someone is saying video is not audible. Now I can't help. I don't know. Okay. Okay. Somebody was there who was saying I'm not able to hear. Okay. Okay. I'm using. Okay. There's no question as such. Okay. Then over to you, Arvind.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am. You know what? In the beginning, you started with some tips about how to prepare for the studies. To me, it sounds like we should have one full session only for that part, where we focus on those kind of things, right?
You can display that slide just now, Arvind, because at
Okay.
that time we were not able to display that slide. So they can just have, they can take a screenshot
This-
of it also.
This one?
So
This
no,
one?
first ever. One more slide before. Yeah, this one.
So short breaks, single tasking, group study, peaceful environment,
Yes.
physical
These are very
activity, balanced
important.
diet, minimal, digital world, meditation. Yeah. You know what? Like, I understand people are very focused on the studies and all,
Yes.
but at the same time, these things are also equally important. And I think this one slide is worth 30 minutes. Maybe sometime we should please spare some time to do that as well.
Yeah, in fact, Arvind, I have so many tips. Like
Mhm.
here, I am discussing that what are the basic things to start your studies,
Yes.
basic requirement, you can say. Then we have further, we can go ahead with the things that how you practice, then
Mhm.
how you write the exam, how you prepare for how before 15 days, how you should prepare, before one month, 1.5, because it's a very specialized course, you know.
Very good.
It's like not like any other university exam. It's a very specialized course. So I can help all these students in working hard, because ultimately work they have to do. I cannot work on their behalf. But as far as how to work, because if you are working in wrong direction, it may not lead to the results. So, but if you are getting proper guidance and working hard, then both the things together, a combination of these two things will definitely lead you to a good success.
Very
So
true.
every session I can add some tips if you allow me to do so.
Yeah. So now we got last 5 minutes in this session, and I open the session to the attendees. You may like to type in the chat box, or you can just unmute yourself and ask the question here. And if we run short of the time, then please ask question in the Telegram group.
And Arvind, I would like to share what all like our series going to be, like what all chapters and what all Saturdays we are allocating to our this thing. So that you can share with the group.
Sure. I see one question.
Nigar is,
Please go ahead.
This session is for CMA inter or final. This is absolutely for the intermediate group 1, very focused. And if somebody from final, I have been telling in the group again and again that after declaration of the results, we will start taking final classes as well. But if you have appeared in intermediate and you are not sure whether you will pass or not, you can continue with these sessions. This will help you even getting you more conceptual clarity when your finals will come. Because in finals, you will not get any paper or any question related to intermediate, but your conceptual clarity will definitely matter you to pass the final examination. So you can keep attending these sessions.